What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Kairos Culture. My name is Armand Wake Up. Hope everybody's doing well. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Armand Wake Up, ARMOND Wake Up, all one word. Make sure you like these videos. Make sure you comment. I'm trying to interact as much as I can in the comments. And hit the little bell. The bell will tell you when we have a new video come up. So how about that? All right. So today we're going to talk about healing in the arts, a topic that to me seems very necessary and needed for all of my artsy-fartsy people and just people who just want to do anything. It's for everybody, so you'll be able to gather something out of it. But first, before we get into that, I want to talk about these shirts real quick. I have collabed with a brand called 836, and what we have done is we have designed 2 shirts. And from these 2 shirts, we're trying to raise money to send my church, Advanced Church Columbus, all the kids there, the youth, I hate that word, the youth, trying to send the kids to Tijuana, Mexico on their first missions trip. So 100% of the proceeds from these shirts, shout out to my man, Quiet Giant Design, who does all of my artwork. I had the vision for this shirt, so it's all nations, that's why it's Kairos written in different languages. And there's Matthew 28:19 at the bottom. But he put this all together for me. He took it from in my head to on paper. And then this was actually from the creator of 836. They put this together for me, and this is super hot fire. So you'll be able to get those shirts today. Link in bio. Extremely limited, yada yada, blah blah blah. All right, so now let's get into the healing in the arts. So if we're honest, music has emotional attachment to all of us. We say that it's the universal language. And what I mean by having an emotional attachment, for example, a lot of us can't do anything without music. I know that was me for the longest time. When I woke up in the morning, I needed music. Some people go to sleep with music. Some people study with music. Some people, they have attached significant moments in their life to music. This is the song that I want to walk down the aisle to when I get married. When I get angry and overwhelmed, this is the song, or this is the playlist, or this is the artist that I listen to, etc., 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 right? So on the flip side of that, if music has an attachment to the listeners, then obviously music is going to have an attachment to those who create the music, the artists. Let me stop right here and also say that even if you don't make music, I'm just talking about music because that's sort of the realm that I deal in. But anytime I say music, you can just say art. If you're watching this and you create something, you're an artist. You are walking in creativity, and often our creativity is attached to emotion as well. We paint when we feel a certain way. We draw when we feel a certain way. We write when we feel a certain way. We talk, we discuss, we do a whole bunch of creative things stemmed out of emotion, out of a response to an event or something of that nature that makes us feel a certain way, okay? So like I was saying, the artists obviously feel an emotional connection because they're able to put that emotion into the music, and then you're able to feel what they felt when they were creating it when you listen to it. But the problem is that can be very dangerous. Emotions have the power to make you do things that you otherwise would not do. Now, pain is something that we all experience. The Bible says it rains on the just and the unjust. So none of us are exempt from any level of pain, traumatic experiences, disappointments, and anything that comes along with that. What a lot of us don't do is that we don't walk through the process of the pain, because I wholeheartedly believe that your pain is not for you. Your pain is meant for you to go through. It's, there's a saying, it's not biblical, but people say it like it's biblical. It's that God won't give you more than you can bear, and that is a lie straight from hell. God will absolutely give you more than you can handle, because he wants to show you that he is God and not you, and you can't handle things that are going on in your life. You need him. That's why things are overwhelming. But what we do is we let our pain, we either let it identify who we are. I went through this, so because of this made me this. I'm a savage because I went through this in my life. That's not true, one. And then two, many of us don't go through pain. What we do is we learn to live with it. So we essentially make room for our demons. You know, it's what we like to call our pain. I mean, though there's some demonic level, but I digress. So we make room for our demons. We get to the place to where we just soothe it over. We don't really go through it. We just get to a place where it doesn't hurt as bad for the pain to sort of stick around. There's points where it shoots up and the pain is intense, and then we suppress it to a place where it's manageable. We learn to manage our pain, and that's not the purpose of pain. The purpose of pain is for us to walk through that pain, and then in turn for us to be able to share those experiences with other people, lead them to Christ, lead them through their situation, and show them that they are not what they've experienced. So artists have a responsibility to their audience in terms of how they present their pain. Honestly, what we do as artists is we just give it to you. Like, no, we more than ever, because the God of America is comfort. The most important thing is feeling justified about our pain. We don't feel bad about giving this pain out because music has that emotional attachment to it. But that's not responsible. Have you ever heard a song, or have you ever? We'll keep it music. Have you ever heard a song and you came out feeling worse than you did when you heard it because you felt the pain of the artist and you was like, dang, yeesh. Right? That's not fair to you as the listener for the artist to just dump on you. They don't know you, and then in turn you take and hoard on pain that wasn't even yours. Now you running around depressed and crazy based off of something that a 3-minute song that you listened to. That's not fair. What we have to do is we have to think outside of that moment. What I'm not saying is don't get your bars off. Write it, paint it, draw it, say it, do what you need to do. However, when you present it, the next step is this for everybody? And there's a good chance that it's not. Some of those things, I have songs on my computer that will forever stay on my computer. They are fire, they are amazing, but some people was catching some shots. There were some mindsets that I was thinking at the time, or that I was wrestling with at the time, that wasn't beneficial for people to see that. And in the Bible, it talks about that, like, you know, and I'm gonna butcher this scripture like crazy, but basically it says, you know, everything that may be permissible to you, it may not necessarily benefit your brother. So you kind of got to be careful with how you present, because maybe you don't feel a conviction about, you know, listening to something or watching something, but your brother may, and you can't say, well, you know, if it's not outlined in the Bible to do it or not do it, you can't say, well, you know, you can't listen to this. What? You're crazy. You just can't. You can't do that, because then you become a stumbling block for them. I digress. Anyway, I have a song called "Walking Contradiction" from my album Kairos, and I wrote it in 2011, and it was about, you know, and anxiety attacks and depression and, you know, sexual sin and a whole bunch of stuff that I was dealing with at that time. And it came out on the album in 2013. I performed that song at the last time I performed it was the end of 2015. I'll never perform that song again, because what it did was it took me back to that place when I was depressed. I basically had to like put that weight on that I no longer feel, that I no longer wrestle with, that I no longer believe, for a song, because other people wanted to hear it, and that's not fair to them, and that's absolutely not fair to me. You know, my kids are older. I had my daughter when I was 19. She's a preteen now. So what she does now is she tells all her friends, hey, my dad's famous, you know, she hypes me up, and she's blah, 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 blah. So she does that. So then in turn, because this age is the age of YouTube, all her friends run to YouTube. So then in turn, they may hear songs that I did 4, 5, 6 years ago, where I may have said things, I may have thought things and presented things that may have impacted her. So now, because I'm not thinking about that when she's 3, 4, 5 years old, her friends are running back to her and saying, hey, your dad said this, this, and this. And now she's coming to me. Now this has not happened, but she's then coming to me and saying, Dad, why did you say this, this, and this? And now I have to have a conversation with my preteen based off of something that I felt 5, 6, 7 years ago, just because I had to get it off my chest. That's not fair to her. That's not fair to me. That's not fair to the people who were impacted by the things that I created. And that's not fair to the listener. So then in return, when I would do open mics and I would do shows and things of that nature, I would put out new music. It became less about God, because what we'll do as artists, especially as Christian artists, is we'll justify it. We're just showing that we're human and that we go through. It still has to point back to God. You cannot exalt, and this is what I'm seeing a lot in the Christian arts. Is I'm seeing exalting humanity over godliness and in the pursuit of holiness, and we can't do that. So then when I'm performing these songs and I'm at these shows, it turned into less about this is how the Lord redeemed me through this. This is how the Lord is redeeming this situation, and it became more about, well, who's he talking about? I wonder, is that about so-and-so? I saw him post a picture of this person, so that maybe he's doing it. And that's not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair. It's not wise. Don't do it. Because social media is such a driving force in a lot of promotion, things of that nature, we will focus on the numbers. So I've got 10,000 followers on SoundCloud, 20,000 followers on Twitter, 30,000 followers on Facebook, 40,000 followers on Instagram. And now we're just looking at numbers, right? But what we don't do in our mind is when we write those statuses that probably say more than we need to say, or when we write those songs that we're a little more honest, we're probably writing those songs in very intimate spaces. If anybody's around us, maybe 1 or 2 people, a couple people that we trust, where it's just us in our rooms, in our houses or whatever. But it's going out to all these people. So you kind of have to take yourself out of where you are when you create it, and you have to say, if I was in a room with 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people and they were all staring at me, would I say this? If I was in a room with 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people, would I throw this or the other person under the bus, or would I reveal this, that, and the third? And does this give God glory? If it doesn't, probably shouldn't do it. So how to be responsible with your emotions is sometimes what I do is sometimes, as I said earlier, I'll get the bar off. I'll write everything that I need to say, and then I'll pray over it. I'll worship over it. I'll put it down for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and I'll come back to it. And when I come back to it, I have a fresh perspective, because maybe I'm not in that situation anymore. And what it does is it allows me to physically, because sometimes it's kind of hard for us to just jump out of the situation, because when you in that pain, bro, you in it. I feel you. But I know I have to get this off, and I know this is good, and I know this will be beneficial to the body in some sort of way. I'll step outside of it. I'll deal with it. I won't use my art to deal with it. I'll use it to channel off things that maybe I can't articulate any other way, but I'll go deal with it. I'll go to counseling. I will talk to my friends who I know hear the Lord, who I trust, who I love, who love me, who always have my best interests in mind, even if it's at the expense of my discomfort. And then I'll come back to it, because that's another thing. What I meant to say earlier, just about comfort being America's God, is that God is funny. God, the way that God gets me to move is he always puts me in uncomfortable situations. Anytime that I've had to move, it's like lighting a fire. Like if you feel some fire under you, or you feel something crawling up your leg, it just makes you jump and move. Otherwise, you wouldn't move. You'd be like, yo, I'm good in my chair. I'm straight. I've gotten this exactly the way that I want it to. And it's, this couch it's hugging my body the way that I want it to, and I'm not moving. God don't move in that. So back to my other point, I'm all over the place, but y'all should know that by now, this is just what we do on Kairos Culture. Bear with me. And what we do on Clock Radio Speakers, clockradiospeakers.com. But what we do is, so what I'll do is I'll return to it, and then I'll say, yeah, this is good. This is good information, but maybe I don't want to present it this way. Maybe I want to present it this way. And I'll rewrite it, I'll cut stuff out, I'll rearrange it, and then it's presented in a way that's healthy. Because I'm not saying don't be honest, I'm not saying don't be transparent, I'm not saying don't be vulnerable, I'm not saying don't be raw. Just don't allow that to overshadow God, and then allow you to become a spectacle of yourself. Because that's going to be a really hard hat to bear, especially if later down the line, and even in that, even before that, you really want to glorify the Lord, but all this other stuff is just kind of taking over. So that's it. I'm sure there's a lot more that I could say, and I know when I edit this video, I'm gonna find stuff and be like, oh, I should have said it. So let me know what you think in the comments. Please respond. Like the video, share the video, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Again, 8. And I've got it on I'll put it in the little subtitle down there to make sure, but 836.com, the number 8 and the word 30 and the word 6.com. You can get this shirt, limited run. We are trying to raise money to send these kids to Mexico for them to share the gospel. So my name is Armand Wake Up, and this is Kairos Culture.